Welcome to Live Free. I'm Angela K. Austin. Together, we'll discuss books, we'll explore the world, and we'll do it with some of my closest friends. And hopefully, we'll make new ones along the way.
Hey everybody, this is Angela K. Austin, and today I'm here with Barbie Pomales and Katara Johnson. And today we're going to talk a little bit about virtual assisting. We're going to talk about personal assistants, virtual assistants. I'm playing with that word. We're going to figure out which way is the right way to say it. And we're also going to talk about social media and promotion. And Barbie and Katara, if you don't know them, after this, you're going to start seeing their names everywhere because these two ladies are two of the leaders in this game. We all have used them. We all know them. So say hi to everybody, Katara.
Hi.
Say hi, Barbie.
Hello, all.
All right. So like I said, guys, I wanted to talk to these two ladies about virtual assistant, personal assistant, promotion. What does it take? You know, all of us out here who are indie authors, we are forever trying to figure out how to rise to the top. Who's going to help us make sure that people know who we are, know our names, and buy our books? Everybody I know, and if you guys don't have any issues with it, let's do a little round table of some of the authors that you guys have represented or currently represent. Because I have a lot of friends that you guys represent. I could probably rattle off 5 whatever people right now. But starting with Barbie, because you're up in the top on the left of my screen, let's tell people a few of the people that you represent. And then we'll go to you, Katara.
A couple of the people that I help out with their promotions, newsletters, etc. I'm going to start with Kenya Wright, Martika Carlin, Shara Azad, Dyla Rose, Michelle Prince. Pretty sure I'm forgetting a couple. Adelie Jamesons. I'm sorry if I mispronounced her name.
And how about you, Katara? Who do you have in your stable right now?
I've done Dahlia Rose, Shay Love, Rihanna Mallory, Ebony Bowser, and I'm missing everybody. W. Park Brigham's, Stacey Deanne, Nikki Jans, just to name a few.
Yeah, that's fine. That's all I wanted. Because I want to let people know, it's like, and this is one of the things that we always talk about, right? There's so much overlap in so much of what we do in the indie world, right? Because really, it's like if I use somebody, I'm like, oh, I like this person. And somebody reaches out to me and says, hey, Angela, do you know somebody? I'm like, well, I know a couple of people. Let me give you a few names, you know? And so we all end up working with each other. You know, and we get, I think, like I say, we get stronger and the network and the community grows. But I love the fact that you guys are offering this service. Now, for me, as a marketing person, you know, you guys know I have my master's in marketing, so I'm all about promotion. And I'm all about how do we tell people the product is out there so they can buy it. So let's get some clarity, because I'm sitting here using 2 different words. I'm using virtual assistant and I'm using personal assistant. So many people will call themselves a PA, and then some will call themselves a VA, a virtual assistant. And then, of course, we have people who are promoters, and not necessarily the people who are managers, but the people who are promoters. So let's start with the basics, Katara. Tell us what you do, because you qualify yourself as a promoter. So tell us what a promoter does in the digital marketing space. What do you do for the indie writer or any author who would approach you?
Yes, I promote on different Facebook groups, because there's a ton that you can promote on. And 2 and 3 times a week, I'll promote on IG and Twitter. So that's what I do. So getting their book out, getting their design out, or their book cover out. Many times it's the book cover. Just getting their word out and getting that, and the design, believe it or not, a lot of people don't know, some authors don't know, but the design, it helps attract people. I don't know how many comments I get with that, or this and this and that. So that's what I do. Primarily, I promote. Sometimes I'll do some assisting with authors in some other ways, like holding a party once in a while, hold a party for them. Primarily, I do promoting.
And Barbie, how about you? Tell us, because I know I'm like, Barbie, she's a virtual assistant. No, she's a personal assistant. I just asked you that question again before we started today. So tell us, how do you qualify and what do you do to help us indie authors?
I consider myself more of a personal assistant where I help you do takeovers, I do newsletters, I promote on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If you have like a new release and you just dropped it like it's hot, I'm gonna say it like that, sorry. I tell you, hey, here are some sites, they're pretty cheap. Go over here, you know, make sure that you are promoting on these websites and this is the cost, you know. Anything that you need help on, for example, Kenya is doing a reboot of her merchandise and she has some models and she has the information, but I'm helping her organize that information and have it easier, have her keep her organized in her promotion, her appearances, take the stress off of her for her to just concentrate on her writing.
Yeah, keep us organized. Let me tell you what. And that's Kenya Wright, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because Kenya and I, you know, like I said, we talk and I'm like, man, she's always doing something. But like for me, I know every time I turn around, I'm like, I need someone to keep me organized. If it wasn't for just digital calendars, I wouldn't even know some things or even happen. Sometimes people reach out to me. I'm like, I didn't know that happened. When did it happen? Why didn't anybody tell me? Am I supposed to know all these things? But I'm getting better with it. I'm getting better every day, Katara. It's the truth, Barbie. It's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But now, so talk about this though. So when I've had a personal assistant in the past, and I had a personal assistant for about a year. But, you know, I no longer have one that I have on an ongoing basis. You know, I might use people like right around the time I release a book. Can you guys give indie authors any advice? Like, what would be your recommendation for the best way for an indie author to use a promoter, Katara, or a personal assistant, Barbie? Because so many people come to me and ask me if I know of somebody, you know, and how can they help them. But, you know, like I said, from my own experience, I've kind of, you know, taken more of an approach of trying to find different people around the time that I'm doing a book launch. Let's start with you this time, Barbie. What would be your recommendation for the best way for an indie author to use a promoter or a personal assistant?
First, I honestly believe in art groups. Arcs are advanced reader copies that you have maybe 5 or 10 people, maybe 2 weeks, or during your release week, you have that group reading a release. And you know they're going to be positive, so you don't have to worry about stressing or wondering how it's going to come out. So having at least a couple people in that group that's going to give you good feedback about your book and post it on Amazon, because Amazon is, as we all know, king right now. Making sure that your author friends, you reach out, hey, I got a new release coming. Can I be in your newsletter? Do a newsletter swap with them. Takes what, 5 seconds to give them the cover, blurb, and the links, because sometimes people are wide. Some people are only in KU. Hopefully you're not a new author, so you probably already know what ad companies, like they will place your book in their newsletter, send it out to X amount of the new readers, because you want new readers. You also want to retain your old, but you want your new as well. You want to make sure you've reached out to them early, hopefully. If not, that's okay. It's fine. They'll work with you. Just don't expect them to promote your book on the day it comes out. Expect them to promote it when they can. But above all, make sure that you have those reviews, because those reviews are going to make a difference. At least I think they're going to make a huge difference in people receiving your you well. Another thing is, if you're going to be attending a conference, like Angela is going to be attending IRAE, make sure you post it in that group. Readers are in the conferences. They want to read your book. They don't want to just randomly walk up to say, hey, you're attending this con. Cool. Awesome covers. Let them know you.
So then your recommendation for how indie authors should use a personal assistant would you be doing this for them or helping them and guiding them on which of these things to post in and when? So like all of these different things that you named, all these different things you said that they should do, would you be doing it for them?
I would definitely be doing it for them if they didn't have anything set up in place. Or if they did have it set up in place, then I would be like, hey, do you want this? I would tell them what I'm doing as we go along. So that way we're able to make enough, money throughout the period that is needed.
And so then like for somebody who, this is a question that we always get, right? It's for people who are just starting, especially, because there's always going to be a question about finances. And so like for somebody who's just starting, would you be saying then that they need to do this on an ongoing basis? Or are you saying that they need to do this like when they have the books, or like a combination?
I think it's a good combination of everything, because if you're starting out, it's a lot about relational marketing. I want to know, I have money. You just wrote a book, but I don't know anything about you. So if you do a takeover in one of the Facebook groups I'm in, and you're chill and cool, and your book cover looks really cute, or the blurb gets me, I'm gonna want to buy your book. But if you're always buy my book, that's kind of like smells of desperation.
Just yeah. Can I go sign that real quick? And then we're gonna let you answer this question too, Katara, because I have that with a lot of new indie authors. It's like everything, when you go to their feeds, whichever social media platform they're on, the whole feed is buy my book, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. That's like all you ever see. You don't ever see them engaging. And the win, in my opinion, the win on social media is the engagement, because you get to have these conversations. And so if you're not engaging with readers, and to be honest with you guys, when you're talking about indie authors, it's almost truly expected. Readers expect, to be able to engage when you're an indie author. And I think they even hope for it with the national authors as well. They just may not always have that opportunity because the publisher does a lot of the stuff around those authors. But, do not be on social media and not try to actually engage. Katara, what do you think?
That's a great question, and Barbie was very thorough with that. I would just add that know what you want to do and what you're, like for me or for Barbie, what your promoter or virtual assistant or PA wants to do. If you're new and you start off first, all right, give them something they can do and then see if that's okay. And then, switch it up later, like after a few weeks if you want. But know what you don't like to do. Give them the job that you don't want to do, not as a distaste, just saying something that you're not good at, but the promoter is. That's what's going to help. Um, what I found was, and experienced authors, they like you to promote their book before the date and then after the release date, which that helps before the date and after the release date. So that as well. Also, also the promoters such as myself, and I'm sure Barbie does this too, is they'll show you exactly what they're going to promote first and then do that. Don't later, don't say something like, when I worked for another promoter, one of the authors like, this promotion isn't good, but I don't know why. Or he didn't know how to fix his own promotion. You got to know that, you got to know that. Don't, sit and say, okay, that's wrong. And then have them post something else on the Facebook page, on the actual Facebook group, and say, oh, I didn't like this either. Make up your mind. Trust me. I've had that when I worked for somebody else. So you basically want to do that, tell the promoter exactly what you want, so there's no problems later.
And I'll agree with that, because, when I had the first PA that I had used, I think that was, one of those things, because I come from a background of marketing, and when I hired her, I had expectations without really, I think, clarifying with her, so because I would do, and I don't know, and you guys can answer this question for me, but yeah, I would love for you guys to answer this question for me, as a matter of fact. But one of the things that I did, because, I'm not a graphic artist at all, but I'm extremely comfortable with most graphic design software, and everything like that, just because of the nature of the work that I've done for a living. So I would create some different, pieces and stuff, and give her a cycle, like, this is kind of what I want you to do. You can mix and match these pieces as you want, blah, 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 and, I would give her some messaging, and everything like that. But I think that one of the things that I didn't realize when she and I got together was just kind of like what you just said, Katara. Like, I think she did all the things that Barbie said. Like, she would, do all these posts for me, and she could do things with, like, my newsletter and stuff like that. If I wanted all those things done, she could do all those things. But it's like, for me, I wanted her to do like a build up, So, like, I'm a big person of, trying to encourage sales. So you build up pre a release, and then you keep a certain amount of promotion out there for a certain amount of time after the release is out there, and then you kind of taper it back off, but you always have what I call sustaining. There's like a platform that you pretty much never go below, because that's kind of like a threshold point for me as a marketer and as an indie author. So, like, if you go on Amazon, I always have like an ad of some kind that's always running on Amazon. There are different things that I just use as a consistency measure. So there were certain things that I didn't realize, and I was like, oh, wait, but why aren't you doing that? And why are you this? But I just, I don't think that I clarified things, like my expectations. So, I know I have some questions I have over here on my little cheat sheet for y'all, but now you made me think, Katara. So, without naming names or anything, like that, because that's not what I want. But as people who are working with indie authors, which a lot of us are like running around trying to do a million things at once, trying to figure out whatever. Like Barbie will send me notes, like, did you see this? And I'm like, when did I see that, Barbie? I don't know when that happened. But, so like, have you guys ever worked with somebody like me? Who is just not paying attention to a lot of those things, or somebody like me who, isn't clear with you about what our expectations and goals are. Like, I would have never, posted like that author that you mentioned, Katara. I would never be like, oh, that didn't, But have you guys ever worked with someone who wasn't clear, didn't really tell you what their goals were, so you had a hard time meeting them. Were you able to remedy that, in any way? Have any of you guys ever had any experiences like that?
Because everybody is so different and under a lot of different pressures, and is just be there for that person and try to work it with them, because everybody's under a lot of pressure, and even though you may not be under the same pressure, that doesn't mean you can just like act a fool. Be a professional. Try and sit down with them. Ask them, hey, what do you want from me? Please be clear, so that way I'm able to assist you, or do anything that you need. You do something and I have no idea what you're doing. It's kind of like you only have your right hand functioning when you need both hands to function. That's what I think.
Makes sense. How about you, Katara?
Not really. No, except for the example I gave you when I was working for another promoter. My clients are, they're great. They're very great. I really had no problems. But one thing though, my newer clients, I would probably have them, if they need to, check in every week to make sure that what I'm doing is what they like. That's what I would say. I will say this, the quirks that some authors have, and this is for my show, this is not for promoting, I don't mind working with authors at all, because that's where I'm trying to get to. I don't mind any quirks like that. Like there was one of this author, we all know it, I'm not going to say her name because she's great. But she was coming on to my show, and I think she forgot, but she wanted to get on before a certain show came on. So I was able to get her on and get her off. I don't mind doing that for authors. Now, if it was a musician, I'd be like, get out of here with that. No, but like, or some of the authors I'll talk to coming onto my show, and if they didn't have their coffee yet, they just didn't know what was going on. And that's understandable. That's something I can work with. You'll find, and I'm sure Barbie has, that we have patience with authors because we understand them. Now we may not have patience, like if the same thing with a musician, I wouldn't have too much patience because I've had bad experiences with musicians on other things, but we will be patient with you. Just let us know, even if it's something like that, even if it's something that you don't think is important, we don't care. If you want to get on and out on a certain time, or you want Barbie to do a newsletter before this date, just let us know, ahead of time, and we'll do it. We'll do it. We don't mind that. We appreciate your authors, and we don't mind your quirks or anything like that.
That's good, because, speaking for myself and a lot of my friends.
Trust me, I agree with Katara 100%. I love learning the back end of the industry. I want to learn more. I want to learn how to publish in KDP or wide. I want to know to do Facebook ads. I want to know every single thing there is to know about marketing, because I love it. If I didn't love it, I wouldn't be here right now, number one. Number two, I'll be the happy person just reading my Kindle because I'm happy reading. But I'm even happier saying, oh my God, I had a part of their success.
Well, and honestly, that does come through. Like, you guys heard Katara mention about that's where she wants to get. I've known forever, Katara, you told me you were going to have a book out when? Okay,
I'm working on another one.
We're going to let her ride with it. But that brings me to another question, because that's honestly, for all the people out there in who are listening to this in YouTube world and podcast land, it's like, please don't work with people who don't enjoy this whole industry, right? Because, that's one of the things that gives me life. When I'm working with, somebody on something, or like Barbie, Katara, if you guys tap me like, Angela, did you know this or see this? I'm like, no, but thank you for, surround yourself with people who really are a part of this whole world, and not with people who are just kind of like, they see there's an opportunity to make money, so they're just popping in and popping back out. Definitely make sure you vet the people that you're working with and that they're really about this. But that brings me to a question, Katara and Barbie. So now I know you guys help people with promotion and organizing, but Katara, let's talk a little bit about your blog talk channel. But Barbie, don't you also do reviews? Do you have a review website? Do you still do?
I did have a website. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it yet because I'm thinking about shutting it down.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's kind of like maybe I'll go back to it. The thing is, I got bored, and you never want to get bored with something that you do. That's why I love PAing, because I am challenged in so many different ways, and I get to figure out a solution to a problem.
Okay.
You know, the moment it becomes boring or stagnant, that's where I'm like, no.
Yeah, I can understand that. And so, but Katara, you're still doing your blog talk. I was on Katara's blog talk, and wait a minute, when was I on your blog talk?
It was like a year or two ago.
And you told me, it's like, yeah, Angela, it's gonna be like 2 hours. I was like, what now? She was like, no, it's gonna go really fast. I was like, oh no. But now, fast forward, I'm like, where did that hour go? So tell us a little bit about your blog talk, and what made you start that even.
Yeah, I actually moved to another blog talk, and we'll discuss that in a minute. I started it because a friend of mine who is, well, he's now deceased, but he now passed on. But he had a politics show, and he invited me on, and I'm like, cool. And I was a guest. And then one day he was like, and I'm going to have Katara on her own show. I'm like, wait, what? That was when I was still shy. So I'm like, no, that's okay. And he finally got me to have a show. And and it was just hard running that show because it was community issues, like, so sort of like the issues that we see now going on. But I found it was easy to talk to authors. It was so much easier to talk to authors. And he suggested that I have an author show. And I said, okay. And I started that, and that just went great. Now, a year or two later, he was like, he admitted that he didn't think that an author, because he didn't know about that book life, he didn't think that the author show would last. And I'm looking at him like, you were the one who told me to have an author show. What are you talking about? And he said at the time, I just wanted that Sunday night filled, and and he said that, but I was wrong and you proved me wrong. I'm like, okay, now you tell me, So that's how I got into that. I now moved from True Radio Network, and all of us did. We're not on Blog Talk Radio. I actually moved. I did a second move to the Starting Five. So that's where I am now, which, by the way, I don't know why I forgot. I actually have a blog site called Katara's Corner. So, Barbie and Angela, just send me your information and I'll put it out on my blog, because that's new for me as well. So that's where I am now. And on Wednesday nights, we talk about politics, sports, whatever's, community events as we see what's going on. So that's where I am now.
Yeah, I do love when I see you talking about politics and stuff. But man, I don't even know if I could do that right now. My head would probably explode if somebody got me to talking about politics. Right now, I just want to talk about books, Barbie. Just keep it simple for me right now. I swear. Don't go to my Facebook or Twitter right now, people. Quite bored at this moment. But anyway, So when you guys are, and I definitely want to make sure that we give everybody like the definite specifics of all that later, and we'll make sure we put all this information, all the contacts, and all that stuff in the description for this podcast and for this YouTube. Um, but when you guys are out there working with all of us indie authors, and I don't know, I'm smiling before I even ask this question because I already feel like I kind of know what Barbie would say because I know Barbie loves books. I know how much she loves them because when it just look at her face, she can't even contain herself. But um, but when you guys are helping us with this, even though I know people are like paying you and this is a job, you know, but like we were saying earlier, finding people who really love this business, and I know Katara, you want to write, so so what like Barbie said, it makes her feel good because she knows that she's helped someone succeed, right? So tell me a little bit about, we're gonna go back to you again too, Barbie. But Katara, when you are helping somebody and you see them succeed and you know yourself that you want to write, how does that, like, tell us what's happening for you? Are you thinking to yourself, I need to get that book out there and I need to make this happen for myself because I'm helping other people? I should, and Barbie, you've never told me, I hear you talking about learning about marketing, which you and I will make sure that that happens because your girl has a master's in marketing, Barbie. I don't know why you didn't tell me this before. But what is it that you want to do too, Barbie? Do you want to write or do you just want to learn more about marketing? So before we get to that, Barbie, Katara, tell us, when is your book coming out? What's happening?
And I should have known you were going to ask me that. I actually have another book. I am waiting. I have to get it edited. It's at the point where, like, I'll say the first edited. And so it costs this, and I only have a part-time job, so I'm just saving up the money to do that. Pretty much that. And I'll take it from there. That's for that. And yeah, it's great. And it's like we were talking about, you gotta love what you do because that's when your creative side comes out. I probably told Barbie this. We were both working with the same author and I saw a great graphic she had. So I took it, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use this one. This one works great with my promo. So there it is. Now that author has two people promoting for her on two different, I guess, platforms, if you will, or, Barbie reaches one part of the Facebook place and I reach another. So it's always great. You gotta, I'm reiterating what Angela, you said, go with someone who likes it because then they'll get creative for you and they will be able to, and they'll take things that you may not even have thought of doing. So that's I think I answered your question.
I think that works. I mean, I still don't think I got a hard fast date on when that book is going to be available, but I'm gonna let you slide. Next time I see you, I'll have to pop onto your show or something. We're gonna talk about those dates.
Oh yes,
but,
yes.
Look at her. She's trying to get away from you guys. Okay, but Barbie, what about you? So do you just want to learn more about marketing and become like more of a marketer, more of a promoter? Or, I mean, do you want to write? Tell us what you want. What's happening in Barbie land?
Right now, I want to learn how to market better. So that way, I'm reaching new people. My authors have less work. Writing, I mean, I've been told that I should write, but honestly, right now it's just like there's no story inside of me that I need to tell, that needs to be on the page and needs to come out. Even though I say, oh my God, where are the Latin writers? Where are they representing my life? I'm like, well, I have to wait on the next Anna Sully book so that way I can get my Latin fix. But as of right now, I don't want to say I want to completely, like when I was younger, I'm like, no, I don't want to write at all. I don't want to cancel out that possibility because I don't know how life is going to turn out for me. So I'm going to just keep an open mind on that front and learn as much as I need to market books better, be a better VA for my clients, and Who knows what will happen when I'm older?
When you're older, you mean when you're my age? Was what? Anyway, you know what, guys? I love both of you guys. It's like I met Katara. I met you. Was it RAE or something many years ago?
Yes, because I fell in love with your series.
Yes, yes. You know, I said, why do I love people who love my books? Anyway, and Barbie, I met you at IRAE. I'm meeting everybody. So apparently, if you're not attending IRAE, you're missing out on some things. But I love both of you guys, and I'm so thankful that you both came and joined me. But before we wrap up, I had one question before I asked you guys for your contact information. And that question is, one more about advice. Do you guys have any advice for indie authors to let them know if they have the wrong promoter or wrong PA? How do you know as an indie author that you're not working with the right person?
That's a good question. It's hard to say because everybody, promotion works different with different authors. I would, if it's hard. That's a good thing. If the promoter you're working with is great, but you're just not seeing the sales, just let them know. Let them tell them and say, hey, you did great. I'm going to be looking for someone else. They'll understand. If they did their best, they understand. They're going to understand that we can't help everybody unless and even though we want to. They'll understand that. And I think that's how you would do that, because I know I recommend other promoters to other authors if I'm busy or something like that, so they're going to understand, and they'll probably have some, they'll probably recommend other promoters to you. So that's hard. Just, if you see that they're doing a good job with other authors and you want to give them a try, that's great. And maybe your sales didn't go up as much, that's fine. But what I did notice, Angela, is one author I had, and her sales went up in some ways and others it didn't. But like 3 weeks after, like a month after, I'm getting still likes from her book that I advertised for her. And I don't know if those numbers came up, but you're still getting likes. So sometimes it takes long. I think my advice to indie authors is patience and find your followers. Find them. Don't expect them to come to you because they don't know you're out yet. Find them and don't get frustrated and say, well, nobody wants to go take a chance on Black businesses or brown businesses or something like that. Don't do that. Don't write a post frustrated because nobody's coming to your product. You have to have the patience for that. I see that, and honestly, it turns me off when I see someone does that, because you're putting down people, and what did you do to help? That doesn't help, and you're going to turn off potential fans. So I would say have patience. Yeah,
I'm going to co-sign that, because I was actually I had a conversation with a friend of mine who's a writer about that just recently. And for Barbie, for you as a future marketer, remember these words. All right, it's like you always have to give everything at least like a little 15-day kind of a window is what I say. Some people might say 10 days, but I kind of go with a 15-day window for it to be recognized. There's a lot of what I call white noise, and so there's a lot of stuff out there. And for you to be able to break through it, and people are like, oh, that's Angela Kay. Okay. So for people to even, you've got to give them time, right? So just like you say, you have to have patience, but you have to have that consistency as well. Because if you hit somebody on day 1, then you don't come back again until day 15. Ain't nobody seen that? Nobody saw that? It was forgotten. Nobody remembers that at all. So you got to have that consistency and patience if you're going to see actual results from it. So don't give up, be patient. I like that. What about you, Barbie? Any suggestions, like, if somebody is working with the wrong person, or or whatever your thoughts are?
I think I think be you. If you are if you like to do artsy crafts things, watch HGTV, talk about that on your Facebook. Don't just say buy my book, buy my book. It gets tiring. Have a conversation with your PA before you hire them. Don't just think your personalities are going to match. Cuz you're maybe on two different wavelengths. And clarifying things are going to from the beginning is going to help a lot. For me, honestly, I like when the author tells me, hey, I need you to do this. It's due by this. And lets me go and does check up on what I'm doing. I just think that indie authors, I know you have it rough out there, but just make sure that you're able to talk to other authors who've used this PA, so that way you're not ripped off of money, and you are going to see a return on investment. And that goes both for VAs, PAs, and promoters, because if not, people are willing to take advantage of you. And I'm sorry to say it like that, but it's not fair and right that the people who take advantage of you versus the other person that works hard for you comes in with that type of baggage. It takes it's a lot to trust people nowadays. So just do your due diligence and talk with them, ask them what they do, and make sure that you're not going to be taken for a ride.
I'm going to co-sign that too, because I pretty much don't use anybody who hasn't been referred to me. So there is that. All right, guys. So before we log off, if you could give us like the best way that we can contact you, like your social media, because I know there are going to be people who are going to be, want to reach out to you guys to get you to work with them. So let's start with telling them, like, if you have a website, or if it's just better to meet you on Facebook or Twitter, so that they just know how to contact and reach out to you. So Katara, we know that you're on the starting five, with your radio show, with your podcast. So tell us, how do we reach out to you if we want to work with you? How do authors reach you?
If you want to reach out and work with me for promotions, best way is to reach me on Messenger, Katara Johnson. That is how, I think that's how all my I call them customers, but clients reach out to me on that. That is the best way to do that. Now, if you want to see my newer stuff, like my blog that I literally just started 2 or 3 weeks ago, you can go to, and shows, you can go to www.thestarting5, 5 as in the number 5, podcast.com. Okay, and then once you're on that podcast, you can click on shows, or you can click on, there's a thing that says Katara's Corner. You can click on that to see my blog. So that's how you can reach me. Best, if you want to be on a show, which I'll be talking to Angela and Barbie about coming on to my show, reach me in Messenger like you guys usually do. That's the best way to reach me.
That is definitely how I always reach her. All right. So Barbie, what about you? How do people reach out to you?
Best way is definitely through Facebook Messenger. I'm Barbie Pomales in Facebook. If you want to reach me by email, barbiepomales@gmail.com. And that's Barbie like the doll, and then my last name is POMALES@gmail.com. So that way people are not like, I can't spell her last name. That's how I spell my last name. Or you can refer Angela can refer you to me, or we can have a conversation via phone as well. It's up to you guys.
Yeah, and like I said, I'll make sure I tag all this stuff, so it'll be in the description and whatnot. So, and with that being said, guys, I want to say thank you again, Madam Katara, Miss Barbie. Thank you guys for joining me, and and to all of you guys out there in YouTube world and podcast land. If you have any questions about using a virtual assistant or a personal assistant, using a promoter, I hope that you'll reach out to one of these ladies because they've been doing this for a while. And like I said, I know a lot of people out there who are doing this, and so many of them use one of these two ladies or both. Like they say, they share clients. So if you have questions and you're looking for someone who can help you get your book noticed, someone who can help you elevate and get to that next level, there's no better place to start than right here with one of these awesome women. All right. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you guys for listening, and I will see you all again